some stuff. It if you want to be a witness to some situations, and because you got to understand there's a difference between a witness and a snitch. A snitch is when you help commit the crime and then you told on the other person that committed the crime with you. That's a snitch. A witness is when you ain't had nothing to do with the crime. You seen the crime happen and you saying what you saw. That's the difference. So if you're gonna be a witness to something where you seen the crime about to go down and you was lingering just to make sure everything was good, and then when the crime did go down, you know what they looked like, what kind of vehicle they was in, what the license plate was, then oh yeah, by all means, do that. But if you got 5 or 7 Karens in the parking lot watching you live your best life because they believe that you're up to daily activity and they just diverted 30 minutes of their day to following your activities, bro. When we back in the 80s, we would be offended by that. Following me through the grocery store and stuff, watching to see if I'm gonna pay for something. Today in 2025, if you following me through the grocery store, you might as well help me shop. Hold this basket, and I'm gonna put stuff in the basket, and you can walk me right on to the register. You carry my stuff, and then you can carry my stuff to the car too. Now that you're at it, because you ain't busy, you not working, you follow me around. So if you're gonna follow me around and make yourself useful. Customer service. That way, I ain't doing nothing I ain't got no business doing, and I get the best customer service this company's got to offer. At the end of the day, I'm happy, you happy, we all happy. But now I get special treatment. So instead of getting that special treatment that leaves you in handcuffs and hold yourself, you get that special treatment like the Kardashians, where you ain't got to touch nothing. Everybody else carrying all your shit for you because, I mean, that's how life works, right? If you don't trust me, come with me. It make it easier on me. Now I got a witness. I got an extra. I got the body camera, and I got the employee that was carrying the merchandise that I walked out the building with. So in order for me to commit a crime, I would have had to have inside help. See, now that prevents you from getting into any kind of trouble because those of y'all in California getting pistol whipped by ATF at the front door because they got assault rifles in Walmart in California. You ain't got to go through all that if the cashier is pushing your cart out the front door. The security guard ain't gonna tell you shit. You got like I said, I feel like a criminal every time I leave Walmart. Receipt, please. What? I take the receipt and I shove it deep in the bag, and then I walk out the stove, open carry with my dog. They don't talk to me. If you want to know, and I've had a couple people a few years ago that wanted to be slick and do that, and they wanted to come in and I got to see a receipt for that. No, you don't. You got security cams. You can go check the camera over there by self checkout because I used to do self checkout. Now I actually get checked out by somebody. I make them bag the stuff up for me. So and then I use one of the ones directly in front of the returns. So I got 3 managers and 2 customer service agents watching my register cash me out. So if I go to the front door, they ask me, "Oh, can I see a receipt?" No, you ain't got to do that. You can just go ask them 3 ladies right over there to watch me check out. Ask them what's up. I'll be at the car. I'll be at the car unloading. So either you can follow me to the car and help me unload, or you can go talk to the manager and be like, "Did he do what he had to do at register 12?" And they're gonna tell you, "Yep, the dude with the dog. Oh yeah, we watched him cash out." That's it. And it's easily identified. I stand out like a sore thumb. I'm a black dude in a 3-piece suit with sunglasses, a dog, and Second Amendment strong. You can't miss that description. That description is easily identifiable in all 50 states because that combination never happens anywhere in the United States. So the one time it does happen, it had to be me. It had to be me. Well, what kind of dog was it? So they just walk back. They don't even got to say anything that they feel uncomfortable. They don't have to say with a black guy that walked out because that sounds racist. The man with the glasses and the dog, did he cash out? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I don't even do the receipts because Walmart policy is that it is discretionary to the customer to show the receipt to customer service. If they feel like you stole something, they should have detained you before you got to the door. But if they don't detain you before you get to the door, Walmart policy is they're supposed to allow you to leave the establishment and then press charges on you after the fact because they've got you on camera and they can catch you. They can find you. It don't matter like if they got your credit card statement or anything like that, they can find you. And if you bought some of it, especially if you bought some of it with a credit card and some of it you did not buy. They've got the time you was at the register, so they can follow the credit card history of who bought the stuff. So if you bought it with your debit card or your credit card, your name and address and phone number is in the payment information. So they can come to your house and arrest you for whatever you stole. They don't need to tackle you at the front door to keep you from walking out the door with the merchandise. They do that because it's a long legal process and they want to keep the merchandise inside the building. But nah, Michael said it only happens to poor people. It only happens in high crime neighborhoods, which are usually low income neighborhoods, when Walmart is being robbed. And then Walmart retaliates with high security and abusive behavior from the faculty and staff. Because if you go into the middle class and upper middle class neighborhoods where Publix and stuff is located at, if there's a competitive Walmart next door, they don't even ask you. They like, hey, how you doing? Or they just sit there and wait for themselves to clock out. They don't care if you take something or not, you know. But it ain't for you to put it in practice to walk away. And that's one of the things that I said about law enforcement is that they're more aggressive in high crime neighborhoods. So if you have to pass through or live in a high crime neighborhood, they're going to treat you like shit. But if you lived in the suburbs, if you lived in uh, a low crime area, the police are less aggressive and actually very friendly. You can actually become buddies with some police officers because they have not been corrupted by their employment. So it's better for you to get a 2 years into the job kind of cop because they're not veteran enough to make bad decisions and cover them up, but they're new enough to not get corrupted by society and treat you like garbage, and then try to cover up their bad decisions because it's not necessarily a bad cop. It's just a good cop that makes bad decisions and then tries to cover them up is what makes them turn into a bad cop. And then it's a corrupt cop when they make that a habit. So Michael said low income, poor people, same thing. Yeah, yeah, true, true, true. Well, the reason why I said low income neighborhood versus poor people is because you don't necessarily have to be a poor person to be in a low income neighborhood and be mistreated because you're in the environment. So unless you're driving a Bentley where they're not going to mess with you because your car costs more than their salary. If you're driving an old car, 10, 15 years old, they'll assume that you're a poor person and then they'll mistreat you. Stereotyping. If you're not in a vehicle, if you're not, even if you're wearing expensive name brand clothes and $50,000 chains on your neck, they're going to expect you to be poor because you wasted all your money on your outfit and your chains. Because you're in a low income neighborhood shopping in a bargain basement store. But rich people shop in the same place that poor people do, and that's why rich people stay rich because instead of wasting money on things that they might only going to use one time, they will spend the least amount of money on it to accomplish their goals. And then after they accomplish their goals, they move on with their day and turn a profit off of what they did not need to spend, as opposed to the rest of us who try to buy the top of the line name brand best thing that came out since sliced bread to prove to everybody else that we got money kind of thing. And that's the difference. He said, if you're driving a Mercedes, it's Safeway. You're right about that. Make sure y'all like and subscribe as we come through here today. Now, let's go ahead and get into this because I do got 1 and 2 hours that I got to take care of. So I want to crush all of this information for y'all today. But we are interactive today. We are live 7 nights a week. We do not let the sun rise without going live. And you guys that are watching us on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube can comment, and I do respond to you guys. Highly interactive. The way I've been talking to Michael today. So I know y'all came in to find out about income affecting your love life, and we're going to go ahead and touch base on that right now today. Do you think uh, the biggest predictor of divorce is just fighting? What do you guys? Which one do you think would be? Because I know we've talked about this before, but a lot of people may not have been paying attention. Which one do you think is the biggest predictor of divorce? Anybody who's thinking right now, infidelity or lack of intimacy, you're wrong. Well, you're not wrong, but you're missing a huge piece of the puzzle. Here's the thing. Research consistently shows that arguments about finances are one of the top reasons couples split up. Okay. But it's not always loud, explosive fights that do the most damage. It's sometimes far more dangerous. It's a silent killer that does the trick. It's that quiet resentment that builds when one person feels like they're the only one trying to save for the future. It's the knot of anxiety that tightens in your stomach when you think you're about your partner's hitting, when you think about your partner's hidden credit scores, their credit cards, their back bills, their collections, the final notices, the repossession on a vehicle that you didn't know was coming. It's the subtle power shift that happens when one person earns significantly more, creating a feeling of dependency or even worse, control. Have you ever felt that tension, that unspoken strain hanging in the air after a simple question about a recent purchase? If you have, I got to tell you guys, you're not alone. Financial stress is a leading cause of anxiety in our modern world, and it puts a relentless strain on our most intimate relationships. It's a problem that spreads from your bank account into your heart and into your partnership, eroding trust, respect, and connections. But here's the crucial part, it's not about the money itself, it's about money, what money represents, the security, freedom, dreams, trust, and power. So when two people are on different pages about these things, the relationship is built on a foundation of sand. So in tonight's show, we're not just going to talk about budgeting. We're going to expose the five most common and lethal ways that financial stress can infiltrate a partnership and poison it from the inside out. More importantly, for each of those killers, I'm going to give you the actionable strategies and communication tools you need to fight back. We're going to help you turn a dynamic twist from you versus me into us versus the problem, because your financial future and the future of your relationship depends on it. Now, before we get started, money equals happiness. So for all those people who says money can't buy you happiness, they can't buy you true love, but you can truly love the happiness that you have from the money you spend it. And before we get started, I want to let y'all know that ABR stock is supposed to be sold right now, and Armor Residential. So Arbor Realty and Armor Residential, you need to be getting those set up. Armor Realty needs to be set up for tomorrow because tomorrow's the 15th, but Armor Residential is going to be due the next day. And you can schedule that one Friday evening after 4 p.m. to be sold by Monday so that you can get what you're going to get off of Armor Residential. But for those who was riding a wave with me on Arbor Realty. Arbor Realty is up by a lot. So when you sell, you're going to get money off of the sale. And then you're also going to get money off of the ex dividends. So make sure that you make that trade tomorrow. And then follow us for the rest of the month because we're going to be telling you uh, all next week which stocks to buy into, which ones are available for the ex dividend, and which are the best ones to buy into for the ex dividend for next week because we got one on the 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Um, So that's going to be a close call because Monday is the 18th. So as soon as the money clears from selling on Friday, tomorrow, today, this later today, you're selling later today on the 15th. It's going to clear on the 18th, which is Monday morning, and then you're going to be buying into. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, buy into RM stock and the other stocks that are going to be available. Because you have to get it by the ex dividend date on the 20th, which means you have to have it by the 19th. The one that's on the 21st, you got to have it by the 20th. The one that's on the 22nd, you got to have it by the 21st. So I'm going to be letting you know all this weekend and all next week which ones to go in there and go get so that y'all can make what y'all can make this week. Now, about today's topic, let's start with one of the most common mistakes that model couples make, even with the best intentions, that belief in a perfect 50-50 split. On the surface, it sounds like the definition of fairness. We're equal partners, so we split everything right down the middle. Rent, utilities, groceries, vacations, 50-50. It's simple, it's clean, and it feels fair. But for most couples, this approach is a ticking time bomb of resentment. And here's why. Almost no relationship is truly 50-50 when it comes to income. Life doesn't work that way. One partner might be in a higher paying field, have more experience, or choose to work part time to care for the kids or an aging parent. When you force a rigid 50-50 split on an unequal financial reality, you're not creating fairness, you're creating a power imbalance and a breeding ground for bitterness. So imagine a couple, say Mark and Jessica. Mark is a software engineer earning $150,000 a year, and Jessica is a talented graphics designer at a nonprofit that she loves, earning about 50,000 a year. Believing in equality, they split everything down the middle, where their $3,000 rent is 1,500 a person. For Mark, that $1,500 is just 12% of his monthly income before taxes, and it's a big expense, but manageable. For Jessica, that same 1,500 is staggering 36% of her monthly pre-tax income. It's a constant source of stress. So when their friends suggest a fancy dinner, Mark is all in because a $200 meal is a drop in the bucket for him. But for Jessica, it's a major decision that might mean she can't afford to visit her family next month. So she starts to dread social invitations. She feels like she's always falling behind, unable to keep up with the lifestyle her partner can so easily afford. And she might start making excuses to stay home, not because she wants to, but because the financial anxiety is just too much. This also puts her in a position to feel more like a dependent because even though they've agreed to split everything down the middle 50-50, if Mark then has to cover Jessica's expenses throughout the week, then she's going to feel like a dependent, even if he's not treating her like one. Because women's independence, I don't need a man for nothing. So when she can't do it for herself, that becomes a problem for her own personal psyche. Now, Mark, on the other hand, might start feeling his own resentment because he sees Jessica's hesitation and misreads it. Why is she always so worried about money? I'm paying my half. Doesn't she want to have fun? He might feel like she's holding them back, that her financial situation is limiting his life, and he doesn't see the pressure she's under. He's only seeing her pulling away. This is the silent killer at work. So there are no screaming matches. It's a slow, corrosive process where they're just not paying attention to the hidden cues. Jessica feels inadequate and controlled by her lower income. Mark feels confused and frustrated and held back, and neither of them is wrong, but their system is fundamentally broken. They're acting like two individuals who share an apartment, not a team building a life together. And the lower earning partner often feels a loss of independence and self worth, where they might try to overcompensate in other areas, taking on all the chores or emotional labor to make up for their smaller paycheck, which just leads to burnout, where the higher earning partner start to feel entitled to more power in decisions or feel pressured to keep earning more to support the lifestyle, right? Michael says, easy answer, put that extra income on paying off the house since the home is both of yours. That's a good idea. I've said before to take that extra income and put it into stocks, bonds, and real estate and build generational wealth where you have an extra income coming in where that second you now you got three incomes because if she's making 50,000 a year, he's putting stocks away, putting it into a trust where that trust makes him and her 50-50 beneficiaries of the trust. And then uh, when the trust pays out, she'll get a second paycheck, he'll get a second paycheck. The income would then be spread out a lot further. If you put all of the assets into the trust where the trust is paying for the mortgage and the lights and the taxation and all of this other stuff, then really you guys are just putting all of y'all's money together and putting it into the trust. Now, if she's putting 40,000 into the trust, giving herself 10,000 a year worth of spending money, and he's putting the same 40,000 into the trust, leaving himself with what 120,000 or no, it would be like 70,000 dollars worth of spending money. It hypothetically, they would still have $100,000 or $80,000 in the trust generating wealth. And if you're getting almost 20% return on that investment, let's lower it and say 10% return on that investment, you'll be getting back $8,000 a year off of that $80,000 that you're putting away. And that doesn't seem like a lot of money. But when you think about the fact that you'll be compounding that over years, if everything is getting covered by the trust in 3 years of being in this relationship, then you're going to end up in a position where you're making 25, 30, 40,000 a year from the trust. And that covers everything. And then the difference, y'all split that. He could be in that kind of relationship where he puts up uh, the majority of his money, she puts up the majority of her money because he's putting up twice as much as her. They could have a trust split where it's 70-30 dividend distribution, where she gets some, he gets some, but it's based off of their equitable investment. But it still puts him in a position where all the stuff gets taken care of, and then wealth is kept. And if she kept 10,000 and he kept 10,000, they got $20,000 to enjoy life with, and the rest of the money went into the standard of living, the trust, and the trust paid for the standard of living, which is different from putting it into a bank account, because when you put it into a trust, the trust will keep running. If one of y'all pass, the other person is the primary beneficiary of everything that y'all work for, which is just like a joint bank account. But the difference is with the trust can make money in stocks, where a bank account's 0.64%, 0.064%. Michael said, well, we all love to argue, but I found solve the problem first. Then, if you want to argue about it, go ahead. That's what I love to hear, bro. that money, that money starts to snowball. You are correct. It does, and he is right. I love being a problem solver. If the problem is the the stuff ain't getting paid the way it need to be paid, you need to solve that problem first. Pay for the stuff first, and then we can discuss whatever we want to discuss, because now there isn't a problem. Some people just need to vent, and we've had that discussion on the show before, where if somebody's just venting and they're getting it off their chest about the way they feel about the difference in income and stuff to that effect, you don't have to take that personally. They're not making it seem like you're a bad person because you make more money than them. They're just telling you their frustrations and their anger and their feelings. And since the problem is already resolved, all you have to do is listen, because there's nothing to fix. I understand how you feel, and I'm glad that you told me. And now that I know, I can cooperate with you a little bit more to navigate your feelings. But since I didn't do anything wrong, and you didn't do anything wrong, because the problem was that the bills was getting paid and you were stressed out. You were stressed out with the problem, but the bills are paid. So I got nothing to do but to help you with your feelings. That makes more sense, and that's why I like the way Michael's approach. He got it right on the head. Now, the way to diffuse the 50-50 trap is to ditch the concept entirely and switch to a proportional contribution model. And this is the first most critical step in shifting from me versus you to us versus the problem. It's about seeing yourself as a single financial entity team, not an individual. Heck with the feelings. Fuck the feelings. Fuck your feelings. I know how you feel, man. I know how you feel. Now, here's how it works. You pool all your income into one conceptual pot, and let's go back to Mark and Jessica, where their combined team income is $200,000. Mark contributions is 75% of that, and Jessica's contributions is 25% of that. So it's only fair that they contribute to their shared expenses in the same way. So in that $3,000 rent in team expenses, instead of it being a 50-50 split, they split it 75-25, where Mark would pay 2,250 and Jessica would pay 750. Suddenly, the entire dynamic shifts, because the rent now represents the same financial effort for both of the people on the team. Jessica is no longer drowning. She has breathing room. Mark is contributing more, yes, but he's doing it to build a life with his partner, not just to cover his half, right? The goal isn't mathematically equal. It's in every transaction. It is equality of effort or equal equity. Big difference. It's relationships are never going to be equal. If you're going to find balance, balance is going to be fair enough, and that's not what people really understand a lot of the times. Michael says, grab a piece of paper and pencil with eraser. Write this stuff down and start jotting, taking some notes. Now, this requires a huge mindset shift because you have to stop thinking of it as my money and your money because it's our money. And the philosophy is what matters most because many couples succeed with a yours, mine, and ours system where you calculate all shared expenses, housing, utility, groceries, shared goals, and you both contribute proportionally to a joint account to cover them. Whatever is left over is your personal account, and that is yours to manage. However, you want to do guilt free because that's a whole lot different. So if you have a joint account and then a second account, your own personal account, you put your fair contribution into the joint account, and then you look, it flashed on me. He said, read this stuff and write it down. And he says it's all her money. Shoot, you in the wrong relationship when it's all her money. We in 2025 right now, fellas. It is not. It should be all his money to invest correctly into the relationship. If she picked the right dude that makes the decisions that are in her best interest, that she will benefit from, it should all be his money. That's the way it was back in the 60s when families was most successful. It was all his money and she managed it. Now, and remember back in the 40s and 50s where the women brought the money home to the man? Think about it now. Wasn't no fights about money back then. It was just infidelity. Now, this gives both partners autonomy and independence while making sure that the team's financial health is secure. So it eliminates the need for one person to ask the other person for permission to buy something because they have their own little discretionary spending in addition to their contributions. And it might feel awkward to set up, but this uh, one conversation can prevent years of quiet, soul crushing resentment. It's the moment you stop being financial roommates and start being a true team. And I've noticed that it does work. That if in the event, let's say somebody only needs like $100 a month of spending money because they don't really buy much stuff for themselves, they take their cut out of the money. They say, okay, here, this the rest. Do what we got to do with it. For those individuals that lets one individual manage the finances, the person who's managing the finances can take the money that's given to them from their partner, add it to the money that they're making, make sure that everything is paid for, invest whatever needs to be invested. And then if that person wants to spend any money, since the other person has their spending money, if you're going to spend $100 on yourself every month and the other person's going to spend $100 on themselves every month, y'all both together have $200 of discretionary spending. And all the rest of the money is going to be contributed to the household. And then whatever's not contributed to the household is put up in savings, investments, emergency funds, and other such. All of the ways money can destroy relationships. Nothing is more toxic than deception. It's called financial infidelity. Hiding financial information from your partner, like these girls that is getting those escape funds where they're keeping accounts hidden from their partner, not telling them what it is, but siphoning money out of the primary accounts and putting it into another account. This could be those secret credit cards, hidden debt that you're not telling your partner about, secret purchases that's just for yourself, where you buy something for yourself and then you hide it where your partner doesn't know that you have it, or even those hidden savings accounts, like I just mentioned. Make no mistake, it is a profound betrayal because studies show that a huge number of adults in committed relationships, around 40% in the United States, admit to some form of financial deception. I know that if I'm in a relationship and I have a shared income and somebody comes and asks me, did I buy something? Yes, I did. This is how much it costs. This is when it's going to get here. That's how that works. It's one of those situations where it 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 can be effective if you're open and honest and respectful with one another. But if you're not, if you don't feel comfortable with telling somebody, yes, I bought something, or uh, I'm planning on buying something, then uh, that causes resentment between you and your partner. Michael said, I thought they were married, not shacking up together. That changes the relationship. No, they're married. They're married. But the fact is that they're acting like they're in a partnership instead of being in a marriage. And you have to understand that dating is pre-marriage relationships where you're headed in the direction of marriage. And divorces occur the same way breakups occur because of the same financial issue. And for many, this betrayal feels just as bad, if not worse, than a physical affair. And why does this happen? The reasons are deeply human. Sometimes it comes from shame. Someone might be carrying student debt from before the relationship and is terrified of being judged. They worry their partner will see them as irresponsible, so they hide it or hope to fix it on their own. Other times it's about control. Imagine a partner who feels micromanaged, whose every purchase is scrutinized. They might open a secret credit card just to feel like they can buy a coffee without having to justify it. It's not about the coffee, it's a desperate grab for a sense of freedom. Um, there's also, I was thinking about right before I started coming on to this. Um, uh, these days in 2025, people are getting married a lot faster. The dating game starts with us talking to one another within the first week, shacking up within the first week, potentially moving into to one another's apartments within 3 to 6 months. Sometimes it might be prolonged to 9 months. They're talking about marriage inside of a year to 18 months. So it's not like 40 years ago when you were middle aged and the individuals had known each other for 5 or 10 years before they started talking about marriage. These are individuals that have known each other for 12 months or 18 months or 24 months, and now they're planning the marriage. They're actually planning the marriage by the end of the year, not planning the marriage in the next 5 years kind of situation. Modern 2025 relationships, women feel offended if the man hasn't married her in those 5 years and sometimes break up specifically because he's not ready to marry her. And there are two reasons why a man is not going to marry a woman. And the first reason is going to be she's not wife material. The second reason is going to be they're not financially stable enough to afford the wedding and potentially the honeymoon and potentially the days off from work for the honeymoon if they're living a check to check lifestyle. So because the engagement ring takes a third of the man's income. And if they're living check to check, he can't put the money aside for the ring. The wedding is usually the price of a brand new car, usually a brand new luxury car, and he don't got that kind of money, especially if he bought her a brand new luxury car. And then the honeymoon, if that's not a gift from somebody in the family, that's even more money out of his pocket, and that's equivalent to buying a timeshare and all of this quantity of money that's coming out of the man's pocket because this used to be the dowry from some of it came from the father of the bride and some of it came from the father of the groom and that is what set up the husband and the bride back in the day, which is why back in the day the children would ask the parents for permission because if the kids want to get married, and I say kids because you no matter how old you are, 35-year old, you are still your parents kids. If you want to get married at 30 years old and you ask her dad, the father of the bride pays for the wedding. The father of the groom might give the ring and potentially pay for the honeymoon. The in-laws, the mothers start giving the bride stuff, and that's why you got something borrowed, something blue, all this other stuff. But the kids that are getting married don't pay for their own marriage today in 2025, that hierarchy doesn't exist anymore. So nobody goes to their parents to get the money for the marriage. They pay for the marriage themselves and is primarily in Western culture the man's financial responsibility. And if he ain't got it, it ain't gonna happen. Um, Michael said, dating, if I gotta pay raised, it's all mine versus Las Vegas, baby. Grab the beers, throw the kids in the car. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. And then there's the classic clash of spending habits. So the spender might hide purchases because they know their saver partner will disapprove of it. And they don't want another lecture, so they lie. They sneak shopping bags into the house, hide Amazon packages, and other such. And each lie is another crack in the foundation of the relationship because you have to understand that your partner knows that money is missing. Your partner knows that extra stuff has entered the house, that there's less space, there's more boxes, there's a lot more trash on certain days out of the week. The UPS, FedEx, and Amazon person is stopping by our house asking how you're doing because you ain't ordered nothing this week. So you know that there's a lot of things going on in this house where money is being spent, right? And that paints a deep picture for the person doing the spending. But picture this: let's have a David and Lisa discussion. They've been married for 7 years, and David's handled the finances, and Lisa trusts him completely. Now, what Lisa doesn't know is that David lost a lot of money on a bad investment years ago when he was too ashamed to tell her. Big mistake. You should have told her about the investment before you made the investment, told her about the results of the investment along the way, so that when it was lost, she would have knew. But some men have an ego, like the man that got divorced because he lost his job, tried to balance the budget, didn't tell his wife, started taking it out on her. She divorced him because he had a bad attitude when and she got to keep the house. When he could have just told her what was going on, she could have covered some of the expenses, took some stress off his plate, let him focus on finding another job. They would have still been married and he would have still been living in the house that they got together. Crazy, right? But to cover their expenses, this guy secretly took out a high interest loan. So Dave's taken out a high interest loan. Then he started using the credit cards to pay for everything, juggling balances to keep the illusion of stability alive. And he's been living in that state of silent panic for years. Discovery happens when it inevitably occurs and becomes catastrophic. It is not even about the money anymore. When she finds out, the debt is shocking. But what truly shatters Lisa is the deception because 7 years of lies, every conversation that they had about the future, buying a bigger house, saving for their child's education, was all a lie. The trust that formed the bedrock of their marriage is instantly pulverized. So the debt is a problem that they could have tackled together. And the lies are a wound that may never heal. And you got some people that are emotionally abusive about it. That if you don't tell them the truth, they're like, oh, zero tolerance to lies, knowing that everybody lies. Even the person that says zero tolerance to lies, everybody lies. Everybody lies at some point in their life for a reason, whether it's self preservation, loyalty, dedication, everybody lies. Okay. There is not a position, but for those people who are emotionally abusive, they will come out and say, he said 2130, all is well. Yeah, no, it flickered on me. And I went and clicked the button so that it didn't flash out. The VPN seems to be working a little bit better, but I still get that notification pop up. So I'm like, oh, it's about to kick, but it doesn't. The peace. Because it used to hit every day at 21:21. So it was like, oh Lord, here it come. But now it just flickers on my screen and goes out, but it doesn't kick off the live. So thank goodness we fixed one thing so far. And we got the mics working in the camera. Because we used to get the camera would kick us out too. Have to start streaming from the phone. Y'all gotta know we've been on that hurt because once we go live, I can't edit it out. But you can come back and watch the live replay after the show, and some stuff gets edited out. But I'm lazy. I'm not. If something bad happened midway through the show, I am not cutting it out unless it's something that violates the community guideline. So, but all the comments in the comment section that's still on the live as well. Anyway, The true cost of the financial infidelity that David caused to Lisa, it obliterates the trust. And the single most important currency in the relationship is trust. But like I was saying before, people who um, are emotionally abusive, typically from trauma of being emotionally abused, might make trust so volatile to the fact that you have to walk on eggshells to maintain it. And if you fail to maintain it, then they will mistreat you for the rest of your existence with them because of the one time that they think they caught you in a lie. Now, God forbid they actually catch you in a lie, that's terrible. But when they think they caught you in a lie, that's when they start treating you bad. And they'll always bring it up and throw it into your face. But when you catch them in a lie, note, exact same person, doesn't matter if it's male or female, will always try to make it seem like there was a justification for why they lied, even though they have zero tolerance to people lying to them. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't care if it's because I was protecting your feelings, because I was protecting my feelings, because I was protecting my best interest, your best interest, whatever the case may be. The lie was the lie. Now that it has happened, we're still alive. Let's work it out and get through it, because everybody lies the same way, everybody makes mistakes. Just like Michael said earlier, most of us commit about 3 felonies a day, every day of the week, 365 days a year, which means we're creating almost 1,000 felonies a year. Every American does. It's just we don't get got for them. So we're all essentially criminals, and we're all essentially liars, plain and simple. Now, does that mean that we're bad people? No. As long as we don't have an arrest record a mile long, we're considered upstanding citizens. As long as we're not on probation right now with an ankle bracelet on our shoulders, we're considered upstanding citizens. As long as we're not walking a green mile, we're considered we're doing a good job. Michael says the most common problem in relationships is communication. Learn to talk with each other. He is right. That is one of the reasons why this actually happens, because the only cure for the financial infidelity is a dose of radical and often painful honesty. So if you're open and oh, where was I at? If you're the one hiding something and you're open about it, you come clean, you tell your partner about it, y'all work this out. It will be one of the hardest conversations that you will have, but that communication will help, and your relationship cannot survive on a bed of lies. So you have to own your actions without excuses and be prepared for your partner's angry and hurt response. Now, the most powerful tool to prevent this is to rebuild trust after it's been broken, is going to schedule money dates. This is how you rebuild the trust. This is non-negotiable for a healthy financial partnership. Should have been done in the first place, but if it wasn't being done before, you need to do it now. Once a month, every so often, sit down together for 30 to 60 minutes with no distractions. And this is not a time for blame, it is just a judgment free zone. The goal is simply to get on the same page. During this money talk date, you should review the past month, look at your spending. Where did you succeed? Where did you overspend? Don't judge what was spent, understand why it was spent. That's it. If you bought something, why'd you buy it? Oh, okay, cool. That's it. Is that a regular occurrence that's going to happen in the future? Do we have to add it to our budget? Yes or no? That's it. If you overspent on dining out, maybe it's because you were both exhausted. The solution isn't just spend less, but maybe plan for more easy meals. You could cook in bulk and then put it into Tupperware and put it into the fridge and have more microwavable meals at the house. That's, if you make it at the house, it's cheaper than buying a bunch of TV dinners. You could come to find that instant meals cost more money over time than takeout. Got to think about that. Check on your goals. How was your savings for a down payment coming along? How much extra did you put towards the debt? Celebrating small wins together builds momentum and a sense of teamwork. But you also have to understand that if you have stuff going down coming soon that might start attacking the financial budget, changes in your operation, financial commitments from your job, financial commitments from your personal life. If you have legal issues that requires financial commitments that originally did not require financial commitments, you need to let your partner know long before this is going to happen that this might be a thing and this might cost, and then try to figure out if y'all can work out a budget for it. Then when it happens, you know. As you start getting closer to the date where you got to start incorporating that financial obligation into your budget, you start letting your partner know it's coming up. I got to start spending this money. It's coming up. I got to start spending this money. I'm spending the money. The money's being spent on it. I got to go take care of this, this, and this. You kept them appraised the whole time. They know where the money will be going, and they know where the money went. Buy used cars since you're young. You should be buying used cars throughout your life. That's your main goal, is to keep the money in your pocket because cars appreciate in value. If you're not buying a Resvani tank for a quarter mil, for half mil, if you're trying to get the one that's got the body armor all over the place and the pepper spray and the electronic doors and all this other stuff, if you're not getting the top dog, you just don't get it. But if you're not trying to get something that's going to keep you protected from an accidental misunderstanding during a traffic stop kind of situation, if you're not going to get one of those, just get you a used car, bro. Get you a used car, $5,000 to $10,000. That's your best bet. Get you a used car, and that usually those you can get cash up front. And that's what you could either save with or get it from your tax return. If you and your partner both got an extra 5 grand where y'all are saving $1,000 a person for 5 months, you can go buy you a $10,000 car. For 6 months, you can buy you a $10,000 car and pay for the taxes. You don't even got to finance it. Just buy the car. If you, between the two of you, one of y'all got a car. So if y'all pull y'all money together and use that to buy a car, now you got two cars. Or if you had two cars and you're buying a third so that you got an extra car in case one of the cars go into the shop, do that, because you only have to insure cars that are registered. And if you have three cars and two of them are registered, those two cars have to have insurance on them. The other car can sit in a garage. When one car breaks, you move the registration from the car that's broke to the car that's not broke, park that car in a garage. You don't even got to fix it right now because you own all three cars. You don't want to live like the Joneses. Oh no, you don't want to keep up with the Joneses. You don't want well, you like the Jeffersons, moving on up. That's not what we're trying to do. You got to plan for the month ahead. That's one of the things that you guys got to think about. And not too many people do that. We go from paycheck to paycheck. We try to budget how we're going to spend the money for this week until next week paycheck, or for this 2 weeks until next 2 week paycheck. But you want to start planning for next month. He's right. Michael is right. You want to live like a poor person. If you are poor, live like a homeless person. But if you're if you're not poor, live like a poor person. Do not live above your means. You want to live less than 80% of your income, and 80% of your combined household income, right? So you want to look at the calendar, any big expenses that are coming up, a birthday, a car repair, holiday, plan for them now so that they aren't surprises later. You guys want to dream together. And this is the most important part. You want to talk about your long term dreams. What is all this financial work for? Is it to travel the world, buy a lake house, quit a job that you hate? When you connect your daily financial habits to a shared existing future, it transforms the entire process from restriction to aspiration. Because now, if you're trying to get, if you're homeless, good luck. Well, homeless people make a lot of money standing on the street begging. They be making a few $100s a day or more. It's depending on where they at, what freeway they on. They be making a few $100s a day out there, getting $10, $20 a car every 20 minutes. They they be rolling. But you also have to understand that they're living in hotels. If they're paying for a place to stay, they're buying food that's always takeout, and some of them have habits: cigarettes, alcohol, and even drugs. And they support that whole standard of living outside of keeping clean clothes on, because some of them actually keep clean clothes on themselves. They either buy clothes, steal clothes, go get clothes from donation places, and then go to the laundromat, pay for storage units, all this other stuff to keep themselves with clean clothes, and go to the laundromat, everything like that. And they're still able to sustain. They just don't have a dedicated address, because people who live in hotels are technically homeless. because they don't have a place to go. And this isn't somebody who's living in a hotel because they're out of town. This is somebody whose primary address is the hotel. They're still technically homeless, just like people who live in their cars. They're still technically homeless. They don't have a driveway to park their car in that the car belongs to. So they're technically homeless, but they make good money. Now, the regular meetings that you guys have about finances removes the secrecy and the shame around the money. It starts giving you guys the confidence to talk about the money. They make financial talks and uh, meetings the normal routine, and that becomes a part of your relationship. It's in these quiet, consistent moments of transparency that the trust is built and rebuilt, creating a fortress so strong that financial infidelity can't find a way in because you get so used to contacting your partner and telling your partner about what's happening, what will happen, what has happened to the point where, and it takes 66 days of consecutive behavior to develop this. So it'll take 66 meetings, which means that if you're doing this once a month, it's going to take 66 months to really lock this down. But if you're telling your partner frequently, you develop that habit, and then you will feel uncomfortable making a financial decision without your partner. Then you will in the moment, call your partner and talk to your partner about it, or delay the decision until you've talked to your partner about it. Once you've gotten to that part where I've got to go talk to my husband or I got to go talk to my wife before I make this decision, I'll get back to you on this. Give me a couple days. Once you get to that mentality where you're confident about your ability to delay the decision so that you can get a confirmation, not consent, confirmation from your partner that they know that you're about to do this, regardless of whether or not they agree. You guys can talk about this. If they disagree, you guys can work over the logistics. But if they don't care one way or another, the fact that they know that it's happening is what they are most concerned about, not the fact that you're doing it. So keeping them attuned to what you're about to do and the results of that, that keeps you in the good spot. Now, we're about to dive into our third point, which is one of the most common conflicts couples face. But first, if any of this is resonating with you guys, take a second to hit that like button. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. And I'm genuinely curious if you guys let me know in the comment section which of the money stressors that you've seen or experienced uh, that has gotten you in the worst way. Make sure that you guys share those stories because while we're talking about it today, over the next hour and 15 minutes, we might be able to help someone else feel less alone about their stressful financial issues. Meanwhile, we're going to be talking about one of the oldest conflicts in the book. The saver is married to the spender. We mentioned this earlier, but we're going to get further into that right now. One person gets a thrill from watching their savings account grow. The other gets a thrill from using money to create experiences. Be generous or just enjoy life. The saver sees the spender as reckless. The spender sees the saver as cheap. Each sees the other as being fundamentally wrong about the entire point of money. These aren't just habits, they are deep seated money personalities, often shaped by our childhoods. Savers may have grown up where money was scarce and every penny was counted. For them, saving isn't about hoarding, it's about creating a buffer against a fear they experienced as a child. A big savings account feels like safety. The spender, on the other hand, might have grown up hearing you can't take it with you to the grave, right? They were taught that money is a tool for joy, or maybe they grew up feeling deprived. And now that they have their own money, they are trying to fill that void as an adult. So for them, spending isn't about being wasteful, it's about living a full life. When these two personalities clash without understanding the why behind their actions, it's a recipe for constant draining conflict. So the spender wants to book a spontaneous weekend getaway. The saver immediately calculates how the money could have been used for retirement. The saver wants to invest an extra $1,000. The spender sees that as $1,000 that could have been used to finally replace their worn out sofa. The language becomes weaponized. The saver accuses the spender of being irresponsible. The spender retorts that the saver is a hoarder who doesn't know how to live, and they aren't just arguing about purchasing, they are attacking each other's core values. Where the spender feels judged and controlled, the saver feels anxious and disrespected. And if their partner isn't single handedly sabotaging their future, I don't know what else they're gonna get out of that. Michael says she has her own account. He has his own account. They have a joint account, which only can be used with both signatures to withdraw. Then you have the house account, which both uh which both pay monthly. It's just four accounts. Now, Michael just pointed out four accounts. Now, I've told you guys there's about 8,000 plus financial institutions in the United States. About half of them are credit unions, the other half are banks. And I told you that you should have at least one credit union and one bank account in every state in the country, which is 100. 102 if you include Canada, because Canada is part of America. Not officially, but uh, but and then if you start talking about the other territories like Puerto Rico and other stuff, it's U.S. territories. You start getting a lot of bank accounts. But overall, even if you had one on the East Coast or two on the East Coast, two on the West Coast, two in North America, two in South America of the United States, then that's still eight. Think about the fact that he just gave you four different types of bank accounts: two for him, two for her, or one for him, one for her. The joint, the house, that's four. But you've also got accounts for incoming money versus accounts for spending versus accounts for online purchases. You have accounts for your business. You have ingoing and outgoing accounts for your business, because the money coming in should not be impacted by the money coming out. That way, if you have to dispute something, you don't want the dispute to freeze your incoming money, where you can redirect your incoming money to another account that's going out. That way, you can still pay for stuff. Your automatic bill pay should be in a different account. That way, if the money isn't there, the automatic bill pay will not take money out of your incoming money unexpectedly. You have to make sure that you budget appropriately. He said, you may need to take a shoe off if you can't count above four. Now, you can't change your partner's fundamental money personality. The goal isn't to convert the spender into a saver or vice versa. The goal is to create a system where both can coexist peacefully. So the key is to combine the yours, mine, and our spending plan with shared long-term goals. And here's how we're going to make it work for this specific problem. Real quick, Michael said, if she wants something, uh, is can take it from our account, from the our account. Michael says if she wants something, she can take it from her own account. Yeah, you're right. She can take it from her own account. If she's got discretionary spending, she can take it from her own account. But at the same time, if she, special shout out to Trey, but if she um wants something that costs more than what she has in her discretionary spending, she might want to redirect funds to her discretionary spending and contribute less to the joint account, or contribute less to the household account. Where if the bills were supposed to be getting paid, automatic bill pay out of the joint account or automatic bill pay out of the household account, and she did not put in the full amount of her share, the account is short, and now you're overdrafting a bank account and getting insufficient funds in your accounts. So that's one of those issues. Now, the our situation, which is the team account, too bad. She gonna have to knuckle up. As a team, calculate everything that you need for shared obligations and goals, and this is going to include the rent, utilities, debt repayments, and uh, crucially, agreed upon savings goals. He said, that's not gonna happen. I know it ain't gonna happen. You ain't about to be up in here not paying your cut. I'll be like Stewie when Brian didn't bring his money. Caught that man in the shower. Can't even run. But this is where you guys are going to compromise. The saver might want to save 25% of your income, and the spender might want to comfortably do it with 10%. So you negotiate and agree on a number that you both can live with, say like 15%. That 15% becomes a non negotiable bill paid to your future selves straight from the hours account. And this gives the savers a massive sense of security. He says she'll have to wait till next. She gonna have to wait till next year. What do you mean? She have to wait till next Valentine's Day before. Wait, when's Mother's Day in April? She can wait till then. You don't need it right now. If it does not cause your heart to beat, you don't need it now. If it ain't prescribed to you by a medical professional where your lack of having it might shorten your lifespan, you don't need it now. You want it now, but you can wait until later and get it. And if you still want it in 6 months, I'll get it for you. I have a laundry list of text messages that I send myself when I window shop online of things that I might like to have. I will screenshot it or send a link of it to myself, and then I'll forget about it. If I want it that bad down the line, I'm still looking at the same item 6 months down the line. I should have saved up enough money to go get it. If she wanted back that, she'll get a job. If she got a job and she wanted that bad, she'll get a promotion with a raise to boot. Now, the yours and mine scenario, this is going to be the guilt free funds. He said it's not coming out of our it ain't coming out of my account or our account. I don't know what she's doing. The rest of the money is split between you and but the rest of the money is split between you into personal accounts. So here's the golden rule. You have zero to say over how your partner spends their personal money. So if their spender wants to use their entire fund on a pair of expensive shoes, the saver doesn't get to comment on that. But if the saver wants their personal money just to pile up, the spender can't complain or ask for some of that cuts. Uh, I'll buy it real estate sales. Yeah, right. If you want something, they go get because you don't technically need it brand new these days. We like the feel of opening the box and unwrapping the bubble wrap. It's like Christmas for adults, but not all the times do we need it brand new. We just need it functional. There are things that we buy that we don't need, and we just have it to say that we got it. The things that you buy but you don't use it very often, but you actually do use it. That's the stuff that you can benefit from. Girl, you better find a corner to stand. Child, you better stand in that corner and count to 100 on 1 foot with a book on top of your head and your arms out like a field sobriety test and think about what you just did or tried to do. Now, this creates a zone of pure autonomy by having a his and hers account separate from the joint account, and it gives the spender the freedom that they crave to and the saver the control that they need. And the second part is to align on your big picture goals. And this is how you get a spender to care about savings. Spenders aren't motivated by abstract goals like financial security, they're motivated by exciting experiences. So instead of saying we need to save more money, the saver should frame it as I want to take that 2 week trip to Italy with you in 3 years. Let's figure out how much we need to save each month to make that happen. Suddenly, savings is no longer about deprivation, it's about anticipation. By giving the saver a specific, exciting, well, giving the savings a specific, exciting purpose, you engage the spender's personality instead of fighting it. So you're no longer on opposite teams. You're working together to build an exciting life. Now you have to meet that expectation. So if you said in 3 years we're going to Italy for 2 or 3 weeks, you need to put that money aside and make sure that it's there for that Italy trip. Even as the saver, if you want to over calculate that expectation, throw some inflation costs on there because inflation happens well, it happens every year and it goes up 3 to 4%. So if you add 12% to the price of whatever you estimate it right now today, you have a guesstimation as to what it might look like in 3 years. You might want to add uh, 16% interest on there to your total fund, and then that covers you for 4 years, where you know how much it'll cost if you don't make it in 3 years. So that trip to Italy, you're telling your partner every month or every 6 months how much closer you are to that Italy trip, and the higher the percentage is, the more confident that they are, and sometimes more willing to contribute to that success. Now, we've talked about subtle power imbalances, but now we need to address a more toxic dynamic when one partner weaponizes their income to control the other. This is a dangerous form of financial abuse that can leave the lower earning partner feeling trapped and powerless. This often appears in relationships with a big income gap, especially when one partner stays home to raise the children. The higher earner partner might start to feel that because they make the money, they have the right to make all the decisions. The They become a CEO of the relationship, and the other partner is demoted to an unpaid employee. I prefer to not treat my partner as an unpaid employee. You are getting standard room and boards contributions. If you want a promotion, we can discuss. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, the he's at 3 years. 3 years to 10 years to pay it off. Yeah, yeah, you true. It really depends on how much they putting down and how diligent they are with their consistency. Now, this can show up in insidious ways because a higher earner might put their lower earner in an allowance, doling out cash like they're a child. They might demand to see receipts for every purchase, criticizing their partner's spending. They might make huge financial decisions, buying a car, booking a vacation without even consulting their partner, justifying it with, it's my money, I earned it. Consider a couple like Tom and Emily. Tom, a successful surgeon, and Emily left her teaching career to raise their 2 kids. Over time, Tom begins to exert more control. He'll question the grocery bill, sigh dramatically when Emily bought new clothes for the kids, and make comments like, must be nice to go to lunch with friends while I'm at work paying for all of it, right? He never yells, but he is systematically eroding her confidence. Emily feels like she has to ask for permission to spend any money. She feels deep shame for not contributing financially, even though her work at home is invaluable and allows Tom to focus on his career. She has lost her voice in a relationship. She is economically dependent, and Tom uses that to a main absolute power. This isn't partnership, it's a dictatorship. The lower earning partner can feel isolated, ashamed, and trapped, hesitant to leave an unhealthy relationship because they feel they have no financial means to do so. This is a silent killer because to the outside world, they look like a successful family, but behind closed doors, money is being used as the big weapon to control everything. Well, yeah, you help her grow and encourage her instead of giving her an allowance. If you guys talk about how much money she got to spend every month and give it to her, some people are going to say that's like giving her an allowance. Not necessarily. It depends on what all she's trying to accomplish. Because usually, like I told you guys before, if y'all are working together to build y'all's credit, which by the way, on Monday we're going to be talking about that, how to fix your credit score. If y'all are working together to build your credit, you should have credit cards. She should have credit cards. And then you should be, if you making the money, You charge it to the game. If she needs something, go get it. And then when a bill come out, I pay it. It is what it is. You can, matter of fact, set her up with 3 or 4 different credit cards. One credit card for the kids, one credit card for each kid, one credit card for her, and then you're already covering the house. So she, between the 3 credit cards, she should not max out any one card. And if you're watching that money, whenever purchases start going over 30%, you start making extra payments on those credit cards throughout the month, so that when the bill rolls out, you're under 30%. You can keep her credit high, keep your credit high. If y'all got joint accounts, you're managing this. There's a way to do it. It's just not too many people do it that way. Feed her emotional needs. Learn to say yes, dear. Is okay. Yes, that's true. That's true. But it's not always saying yes, dear, because sometimes yes, dear can be condescending, especially when you're exhausted or stressed out. Monitoring what she's buying, not coaching her on it. Monitoring what she's buying shows you repetitive spending habits. Repetitive spending habits means that she may need this much money or a little bit more than this every month going forward. She should not have to ask you if she's spending $1,100 a month outside of the bills. You might need a $1,500 blanket of money sitting there just in case she needs some money, just in case. That's not giving her an allowance. If she starts getting close to that $1,500, just like you can go borrow $500 from Amscot, you need to be able to add $700 to that $1,500 just in case. In some months, where she's not spending that whole $1,500 and there's like $500 left over, that don't change the fact that you're adding 1,500 extra dollars to that balance that you was making sure that she had accessibility to, which gives her the capabilities to spend freely on the things that she needs outside of uh, 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 the budget that you already set aside. Because men don't know what women need. Men know what women want, because that's what the women complain about and hang over the guy's head on a regular basis. If you have a spender in your relationship where they want more than they need, you're going to have that discussion about a budget of discretionary spending. And once you cover that, your partner will understand that wasteful spending has to stop at this amount, period. Now, some people again are going to call that an allowance, but if you guys agree that, $400 a month or $500 a month of wasteful spending, that's a lot. Kind of tone it down some, you know. And then if they don't, sometimes they don't do it this month, the money's still there from last month. So instead of them spending 500 per month, they might hold on to that 500, and then once every 3 months do something big for themselves, and they still would be able to feel some type of satisfaction. But something got to shake. It can't just be, spend all the money because there's extra money there. If she's spending that amount of money, it better be from her account. But I hear you. It's sad. No, it ain't her account, because she ain't got no job if she's staying at home taking care of the kids. If she quit working and she a stay at home mom, and you bring her home all the bacon, and she wants something, she needs something, stuff to that effect. Because you got to say again, when you talk about kids with stay at home mom, there's going to be diapers, bottles, pacifiers, kid clothes, shoes. Once they start getting to a certain age, school supplies, backpacks. The kids is gonna fuck stuff up. They're gonna have to replace the backpack again. They're gonna have to replace school supplies again, especially if they're getting bullied. Bicycles, your toys, um, video game consoles. All of this stuff is going to be things that might need to be bought for the sake of the family. It's just something that you have to manage and mitigate. Now, this, what Michael just said, is completely true. Weak minds make weak relationships. And the issue that you want to have is that you do not want to have an overly headstrong individual that is combative about their position, but you also don't want to be in a relationship with a weak minded individual that is not strong enough to stand on a position. You got to find a balance between the two. But that's all about picking the right person from the beginning. If you're already in that relationship, we got to get you guys working through how to get out, how to maintain it, because you're not trying to get out of it. Now, tackling This particular type of weaponizing of income is going to require some courage from the lower earning partner and a real willingness to change from the higher earning one. The solution is to fundamentally restructure the relationship so that the power is shared reasonably balanced, regardless of who earns the paycheck. Michael says that money comes from home account. Raising kids, especially today, is hard. Agreed. But it's got to be rational and logical spending coming out of that home account. But again, that also still means that if you see that this money is getting spent out of the home account and you're looking at what's being bought and you're like, okay, I probably would have bought that had I known. And that purchase starts being made multiple months in a row. You start putting extra money into the account to make sure that that's able to be bought again. Stuff like so, because you and I imagine like women buying shoes and getting their hair done and all that, and it's like, nah, fuck that. She need to pay for her own shit. But like when you start really getting stuff that it looks like it would be needed, like that's the kind of stuff that you want to kind of cover. What if she is the breadwinner? It's the same. It's the same. If the woman is the breadwinner, the expectations are the same. Um, if she men don't want as much stuff as women, and the men are going to buy what the kids need primarily, less of what they want. Um, but the fact is that when a man starts buying things, if he's spending money on some of the same things, and I'm not talking about like World of Warcraft subscriptions or PlayStation memberships and shit like that. But even when you start talking about stuff like that, if there is a monthly reoccurring expenditure that's occurring, and you see this coming from your partner on a regular basis, you should make sure that the capital is there to cover that. Michael said, "How should she talk to you about the situation?" Well, you want to separate worth from net worth. First, the first step is a crucial conversation where you redefine what it means to contribute, because you must explicitly acknowledge that the non-monetary contributions are just as valuable as the monetary ones. So the partner who manages the household and cares for the children is contributing immense economic value. This must be said out loud and often. The stay at home partner, whether it's the man or the woman, is not a dependent per se. It is on the tax return, but not in the relationship. They are a volatile member of the team. If you look at it from a business standpoint, they're a paid employee because you're paying for their standard of living as they do the stuff in your house that you need them to do so that you don't got to do it while you're at work or when you get home from work. I think she should put you in time out and punish you. She could try that, but time out is going to look like an oasis. Time out is going to be sitting right there in front of Call of Duty, WWE Raw versus SmackDown, GTA 6, GTA 6 online. You put me in timeout, I'll never come out. Oh yeah, I'll take this punishment. It's like, oh, honey, I'm going to take a timeout, and quick, run, go into that timeout corner with the 100-inch flat screen TV, PlayStation, Xbox 4 controllers, and 13 surround sound speakers with my gamer headphones on, so that the neighbors know that I'm kicking ass online. Make sure that you ensure equal access and transparency, because that's something that's going to need to happen. The lower earning partner must have equal access to and understanding of all the family finances. So you got to let them know what the deal is, even if it's not their money, because it's our money since we're doing this together. I was thinking of the other timeout. Man, I I know some folks that like to have that spanking, but I'm not. I'm not that BDSM kind of person. Now, this is going to mean their name is on all the bank accounts, investment accounts, and property titles, or they're included on the trust as a 50% or owner of 50% beneficiary of the trust, and trust owns all of this stuff. They should have their own credit cards tied to the joint accounts, just like I told you guys about, and building their credit history while you're building yours. They can be no information gatekeeping. Implement a salary for the non-earning partner, which is what I've been telling you guys for the longest period of time. Implement a salary. You know what they need. Make sure that the money is there for them, right? For couples where make sure y'all like and subscribe. For couples where one person doesn't earn an income, a powerful strategy is to budget a salary for the non-earning partner. Now, what you could do with that, because I told you guys about building LLCs, y'all can build a family business under an LLC and then claim your spouse as an employee of the business, and then you can give your spouse a salary. You can give them a 1099 salary, and anything under $14,000 is tax exempt for them because that's destitute. Now, and you can ride that salary off of your wages, which gives you a deduction. Now, y'all can run this wave. Now, I'm trying to tell you. Now, this is a set amount of money. The salary is a set amount of money that's transferred into their personal bank account each month, and this is not an allowance. It's a payment for the value of uh, bringing the house together. It is their money to save, spend, or invest as they see fit with no oversight. That's not going into the the family account, the household account. That's going into the individual discretionary spending account. uh, this simple act restores dignity and autonomy. Now, mandate joint discussions on major purchases. I've said this plenty of times a long time ago. The team must agree on a threshold. Say a purchase over $500 that requires a joint decision. That's the reason why I was telling you, Michael, $500 worth of spending in a month is allowable under discretionary spending. You spend what you want to spend, and you don't got to talk to me about it. But when you start spending more than a certain quantity of money in a small period of time, or one large purchase one time, we need to talk about that, requiring joint discussions. This prevents one person from making all the big moves and ensuring both partners have an equal voice. It doesn't matter if the higher earner can afford it. It uh, what matters is that they know what's going on. Because even if the higher earner can do it on their own, if it's over the threshold, it's still supposed to be a team decision. Simple as that. This rule forces communication, which Michael completely made clear that large quantities of breakdowns in relationships is the lack of communication. So setting this is a high $500 is a high discretionary spending limit. Typically, it should. Even though I understand with inflation, what the heck do you need to buy every month that is $500 worth of spending? Because I know that I can rock the house with less than $100 a month. Sometimes it's less than $100 every 3 or 4 months because I don't really need for much. But women need more things. That's not going to happen. Period. I'm with you. Now you want to rebalance this kind of power dynamic by challenging uh, the norms, and this may even require help from a therapist uh, to help you guys build a financial planner because the mentality of this is going to be restructuralizing. And it is going to cause a little bit of frustration in your relationship. You haven't been doing it and y'all been in a relationship for a long period of time. But if you're just starting out in a relationship and this is something that you just going to start doing now that you guys are coming to live together and stuff, bring your financials together, this is a good way to get things going where you're building a good dynamic. So if you're single right now and you're taking this in, when you start getting into a relationship that becomes a frequent spending relationship, you start by navigating, even in the dating field, how much money you're going to contribute jointly into the dating portion of the relationship, where you don't necessarily have to disclose your own individual incomes because you're both single individuals, but you are going to contribute a limited budget towards the dating phase. Once you guys commit to one another, then you start admitting more discretionary, well, not more discretionary, but you start admitting more financial uh, uh, status, and then you're going to start piling that on. Now, a true partnership is going to be one of seemingly equal and reasonably feeling like balance is there because equality can't exist when one person uses the money as a leash over the other person's actions. The silent killer isn't one that happens inside your relationship, but one that infects it from the outside. So it is the immense societal pressure and the new realities of the modern dating market that shape our expectations around money before a relationship even begins. Dating apps, they have turned the search for a partner into something that can feel like a market transaction. We can filter people by countless criteria, and research shows income and education are major factors. And this has led to a phenomenon called assortive mathing, where people increasingly partner with others of a similar social economic status. While logical, this has profound social consequences because, in fact, one study from the Federal Reserve estimated that this trend could be responsible for a significant portion of the rise in household income inequality. Michael said want three things: money, home, and a car. Uh, and they want their hair did, their nails did, their everything did, their phone bill paid. They want the latest iPhone 16 Max Pro. I mean, they want that Gucci bag, the Prada shoes, the Prada purse, the what's the red bottoms? They want the $1,500 red bottoms. I mean, they be wanting some stuff, but the primary things that they be wanting is your money, your house, and all the cars in your driveway. um, Dating apps do lead to social isolation. Michael's right about that. Dating apps are a high contribution to social isolation. Um, and this led to the phenomenon called assortive mathing or assortive mating, not mathing. Assortive mating is where we're sorted into social economic bubbles, and it has very profound consequences. Groundbreaking new data reveals this trend is fueling income inequality, accounting for as much as half of the rise in household inequality since 1980. So, what does this mean for your relationship? It means that from the very first swipe, money is playing a big, more explicit role than ever before. Data from millions of online data show that higher income and education dramatically increases the amount of attention a person receives, especially for men. Michael says, extras are all her problem. Come from her account. You got that from her own job too, because I'm not gonna give you a pay raise taking care of the kids so you can waste more money. Uh, she'll get your money, your house, and your car on the divorce. She ain't getting the shit because the car belongs to the business belongs to the trust, the house belongs to another trust, and I'm a beneficiary of all of those. She ain't getting shit. And all my money was invested into the trust. So the trust, I ain't got nothing. She might get my next paycheck. It's that. Now, this assortive mating is going to create high pressure environments where financial status is used to signal stability and a specific lifestyle. It sets up expectations before you've even met. And if you match with someone whose profile shows a high flying career, you might feel pressure to keep up or feel inadequate if your own situation is more modest. This pressure doesn't just disappear once you're in a relationship. The constant comparison culture of social media combined with these dating expectations can create a deep seated anxiety. Couples feel pressure to project and imagine the levels of success, trying to keep up this image, even if it means going into debt for the perfect wedding or a stylish home, is an extreme sacrifice that people sometimes make. This external pressure becomes a silent killer when it prevents couples from being honest with each other about their financial realities. The fear of not measuring up or fear planted during the dating process can make true financial intimacy impossible. Michael says, or even try to sabotage your career. Oh, bro, you will more than likely sabotage your career because you will be putting more effort into the lifestyle that your partner's trying to live and not having the physical capabilities to put the effort into your career. You could sabotage your finances, forcing yourself into extra overtime. Then you're fussing at your bosses because they won't give you the overtime. Then your bosses start reprimanding you for your bad behavior. You could be taking too many days off so that you can live that lavish lifestyle of vacations and trips, missing too many days from work, making yourself unreliable for your employer, sabotaging the stability of your employment. You could be demanding raises and promotions from your employer that you don't qualify for because of your background, criminal history, financial status, or the lack of experience on your job. And then you'll be fussing at your bosses because you don't get the promotions that you need to get the raise that you need to get the financial lifestyle that you need to keep up with your partner, which will also cause you to lose your job. All of these are terrible. Oh, look, I was covering self sabotage, but he's like, oh no, she will sabotage you. Oh, yes, your partner can sabotage your existence by pressuring you to make decisions that you normally would not make. And you will make those sabotaging sacrifices in order to prove loyalty and consistency with your partner. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, but typically men experience this over women because women more often than not date men of higher status than them because women want to come up in their relationships. So they through the hypergamy theory, they're no matter how much money she makes, she doesn't feel comfortable with dating a guy that makes less than her. That is starting to become less of a thing, but more than 75% of women right now are, from my last observation of the study, are, and it could have gone down, it could be something close to 68% now, but the majority of women are dating a man that is more financially successful than her. Because in my most recent observations of divorce, I think it's closer to 28 to 30% of men are starting to get alimony because the women are higher earners. So if only 20 to 30% of women are higher earners and all the rest of the women are lower earners than the men, that still puts it around about 70% or 60 to 68% of women that are dating a man that is more successful than her, has more money than her, that has more status than her. And as a result, uh, you could still be in a situation where you're being sabotaged for your career to support the lifestyle that you want. But the fact is that you have to pay attention to when the decisions that are about to be made could negatively impact you as an individual, not just for the betterment of the relationship. Because your success as an individual is part of the success of the relationship. Build a nest. Women will be attracted to you. uh, Women will be attracted to your wealth even if you don't have a nest. You have to build a nest and then look for a woman of value that will appreciate and respect the nest that you have built and maintain it. Big difference. Now, the solution here is going to be conscious partnering and early value based money talks, which isn't something that people really do these days. The antidote to this pressure of the finances dictating dating is to become a conscious and intentional financial partner. It's about actively rejecting the external noise and focusing on what truly matters for your team, the both of you. Or, like Michael said, run, bitch. Now, look beyond the paycheck to financial value. When you're dating, make a conscious effort to assess for financial compatibility, not just financial status. A person's income can change in an instant. Their financial values, however they think about debt, their generosity, their long term goals are much more stable. So you can explore this by asking questions early on, like, what do you learn about money growing up? Like, what did your parents teach you about money growing, or whoever was teaching you about life? What did you learn from that? This reveals their money story. There's no I in team. There's no we in broke neither. There ain't no we in bankrupt either. You can't even find a we in paying for that. You can't even find a W in the paying for that. Make sure y'all like and subscribe now. Another question that you can ask is, what's something you're saving for right now that you're excited about? This shows what they value. How do you feel about debt? And do you think they're good debt or bad debt? This opens a conversation about philosophy because we just had the conversation last week about the difference between good debt versus bad debt. And if they don't know, you need to be able to explain that, which also enlightens them about their ability to make financially liable decisions versus financial asset decisions. And when they start redirecting their spending to financial asset decisions, they may discourage themselves from financial liability decisions. And a financial liability decision is something that's going to cost you money and keep costing you money, but never turn you a profit, versus things that can turn you a profit and increase your asset value, which can then allow you to have more accessibility to um, capital that can contribute to your discretionary funds, which is different. It's a different way to go about doing things. Michael says, men take on a lot of responsibility. Men take on a shit ton of responsibility. Good men are exhausted. They are burnt out because they try so hard to make sure that everybody is happy and everybody is successful. And the good men try to cover the spread when they're in a relationship where their partner is not carrying their weight. Good men, when there isn't enough money to go around, will do less, buy less for themselves, take on less financial freedoms just to make sure that ends meet. So you'll be in a relationship with a good man who has less than nothing because he's trying to make sure that the last dollar goes to you. That hasn't gone both ways yet. Debt is good and bad. Debt is good when you're using it right, and that is bad when you're not. Now, you guys have to have that money talk early, and it's got to be gentle. You don't need to exchange tax returns on the third date, but you shouldn't wait until you're engaged to discuss finances. You want to frame the conversation around shared dreams. A great way to start is talking about future goals. I'd love to travel more in the future. Is that something that's important to you? This opens the door to a deeper conversation in a low pressure way. Because I'm on an empty shell now. Get the shovel. Ah, I'm an empty shell now. Get the shovel. Nah, 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 nah. We're gonna stay fulfilled. We ain't trying to. Mm-mm. I'm not trying to burn out. I'm not trying to end up in an early grave. I want to outlive my grandkids like a vampire from Twilight or some shit. Now you want to create your own definition of success because you and your partner must consciously opt out of the comparison game. Have an honest conversation about what a rich life means to you. Does it mean a big house? Does it mean the freedom to work part time, travel, or be debt free? When you define your own matrix for success, a the pressure from social media loses its power. So your financial plan should reflect your unique shared values, not someone else's Instagram feed. I appreciate you swinging by. You stay later than you normally do, Michael. Thank you very much. We're going to be wrapping it up at about 20. I only got a few more coverages to cover. And I'm going to see you tomorrow night as well. Now, practice financial empathy. That's going to be the next thing that we're going to do. Finally, recognize that both you and your partner are products of your environment. So you have different life experiences and have been exposed to different pressures. So approach your financial differences with curiosity, not judgment. Seek to understand why your partner feels the way that they do about money. When you can empathize with their financial story, you can stop seeing their habits as flaws and start seeing them as part of who they are, a part that you can work with as a team. By consciously choosing your partner based on shared values and building your financial life around your own definitions of success, you create a powerful shield that protects your relationship from these subtle but damaging outside influences. So when you peel back all the layers, you see that the real financial threats to our relationships are rarely about the numbers in the bank account. Money is just the lens that magnifies our deepest issues with trust, power, communication, and values. The silent killers are resentment from an unfair split, the betrayal of financial infidelity, the war between the saver and the spender, and the toxic use of income as a weapon and the weight of societal expectations all operate in the shadows, fueled by a lack of open communication. But they don't have to win. The solution to every single one of these issues is the same: deciding to stop operating as two individuals and start acting as a unified team. It's having the courage to hold uncomfortable conversations, to practice radical honesty, and to approach your partner with empathy. It's about replacing the 50-50 myth with proportional fairness. It's about scheduling regular money dates to build a habit of transparency. It's about creating a system that gives both partners autonomy and secrecy and security. It's about structuring your relationship for equal power, where both voices matter, or uniformed authority, not necessarily equal, because not everything is going to be equal. It's going to be reasonably discretionary to both individuals. And it's about defining your own versions of rich life free from outside pressure. These strategies aren't just about managing money better, they are about building the more resilient, trusting, and uh, intimate partnerships that you want to have for a long lasting relationship. When you tackle your finances as a team, you're doing more than just building wealth. You're building a foundation of trust so solid it can weather any storm. You can turn off, you can turn one of the numbers to a source of conflict into your greatest source of strength. Even your highest source of conflict can be turned into one of your greatest sources of strength. And you can turn to your partner. Schedule the money dates, start the conversations. Your relationship is worth each conversation that you put your effort into. Now, I appreciate you guys for spending the time with me today, building a strong financial partnership. This is going to be one of the most important things that you guys can do for long-term happiness. And I hope that this gives you guys the tools to get started. Now, if you found tonight's show helpful, the best way to support the channel is to subscribe and turn on that notification button. That way, you don't miss all of the future shows that we have. We've got shows, if I remember correctly, all the way to next week, Wednesday. So you can hit the notification button on all the shows through next week, Wednesday. And since you're clearly committed to improving your relationships with money, I highly recommend that you make room for. I'm going to set it up for next week, Thursday's show. And we're going to be doing 5 steps to plan to pay off debt as a couple. Because Monday we're going to be talking about how to fix your credit score, and Tuesday we're going to be talking about rebalancing and balancing out your portfolio so that you don't have too many stocks in your portfolio, which would cause a negative impact to the overall success of your portfolio. It's the perfect next step on this journey, being able to pay off debt as a couple. With that being said, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm gonna keep asking y'all to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. And fellas, this is about a 72% male-driven podcast from the male perspective, where I give you guys information to help you guys become higher value men, where you're able to make better decisions with your financial life and make better decisions in your personal life, because your personal life impacts your finances and your financial life impacts your personal life. This information is not exclusive to the men. Ladies, y'all can take this exact same information and utilize it to make yourselves higher value women. Uh, Either way it goes, we're here 7 nights a week with the goal to help you guys improve your life. If there's anything about your life that you wish could be better, that is inside of your control, we're going to cover it at least once every year, because we have a different show every day of the week. So 365 days a year, we're covering something that should be able to improve something in your life. And if you haven't seen it on the show, or if you can't find it in the archives of the show, then you can always throw it into the comment section, asking questions about whatever it is that is concerning you with your personal life and your finances that needs direct recovery. And if I don't have the solution for you in the moment that you ask the question, I'll do some research and make a show about it and give you all the information that you need. Because just like in a classroom, the first student to raise their hand is not the dumbest student, it's the student with the most courage. Because there's probably 10, if not all of the students in the classroom that have the same question and don't have the courage to speak up. So if you have a question or comment or concern about things that you wish that you could change in your life that is inside of your control, and you ask those questions, by far, this is the best place to do it, because we will give you the information that you need to approach that in the most professional and appropriate way possible, so that you can maximize success and hopefully maintain relationships when relationships can be maintained. There are situations where relationships need to be abandoned, but again, from a male's perspective, the men typically walk out of the relationship 10 to 30% of the time. So between the two, that's an average of 20% of men might walk out of a relationship. So the other 80% of the time, the advice is going to be how to fix this. But when all else fails, when all effort that's going into this relationship to make it work or make it better or make it last is not being supported by the partner, where the lack of happiness is coming from first person accountability, we're recognizing that we're unhappy and our partner knows this, because we've talked about it for a while and nothing has changed. Our partner recognizes that we're unhappy and that person is not willing to put forth the effort to improve our happiness, or reduce the actions and efforts that is contributing to the lack of happiness from the one side. That's when you recognize that you're in a type of relationship where you have to remove yourself out of that relationship. Beyond that, every other relationship, if you provide the quantity of communication that is necessary, you enlighten your partner, they will understand and they will cooperate, they will make changes, and they will put in effort, as long as you're putting in effort too. And you're not asking them to change their entire way of being to satisfy you. You're finding common ground where you both can exist peacefully and happily in the same environment. That is the goal. So, with that being said, I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. That's my personal command. I'm not mounted on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.